Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another lovely Wednesday morning here in the Outlaw Nation, in the land of the Outlaw Nation. I am the Outlaw, John Rocha, here on a lovely Wednesday morning in Los Angeles, California. Sorry I'm a little bit late, but I had some sun issues going on. Clearly, I'm going to need to handle this between now and Friday when I come back with another episode of Mornings with the Outlaw, because the sunlight is streaming in, bouncing in off the camera, and the angles that I'm having to find is just making more and more difficult, when the easier option is just cutting out some black paper, taping it up there, and be done with it. So I'll be handling that before Friday, so I apologize. I'm a few minutes late jumping on to the show to start the show. I am going to be done around 9:30 today because Christian this morning reached out to me and asked me to host SEN Live at 10 a.m., so I'll be on SEN Live as well. I'll only be there for the first hour, and then after that, I got to jump off for an important call. Then after that, I can probably come back on around 11:30 and finish out the show, but that's my situation right now. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. Let's get to it. How are you all doing? Hope everyone is doing well. Hope you all had a good night. Did some of y'all join me last night for an awesome episode of the Outlaw Nation show? That was a lot of fun. Had Jeff Snyder as my guest. If you haven't watched that show yet, it's up there now on the channel. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Jeff Snyder. We had a really great time last night, bouncing ideas back and forth, talking about cinema, answering questions from the fans, discussing what we think is going to happen next in the world of film. And if studios now with this new lockdown that just got enacted, are they going to go run off and start shooting stuff in foreign countries just to be able to be done with these productions or be done with these films and get them out on time? So I'm still adjusting here a little bit. There we go. All right, that's a little bit better. But yeah, those are the things that we looked at last night and had a little fun discussing. So that is available. Also, if you don't want to watch it though and you want to listen to it, it is up on the Outlaw Nation Podcast Network as well. I put that up this morning at 7 o'clock this morning, so you can go and listen to it there if you don't want to watch it on YouTube. So many options for you to enjoy that show last night. A lot of fun last night. So hope you all had good fun last night. If you haven't seen it yet, hope you all enjoy it for sure. All right, let's say hi to everybody who's rolling up in here. And remember, the Streamlabs and the Super Chats are open. I'm only on for an hour, so, just if any support you can throw my way would be much appreciated. Haskell's in here. What's up? Andrew G. Hump Day. For sure. MK Songbird, what's rolling? Let's see who else is rolling in here with us. A lot of back and forth going on with the early morning risers that come into the show. Big Chuck 420, what's up? Whoop whoop. Let's see. Sean Brennan. Hey, Sean, good to see you, man. New Patreon member. So glad to be a part of this. Thank you for coming aboard, Sean. I'm excited to have you, man. Thanks for coming aboard the Patreon as well. Yeah, and if you guys want to be part of the Patreon, it's right there, www.patreon.com/John Rocha. We got a hangout later today on the Discord for about an hour, talking about all kinds of stuff, including hammering down the shows once and for all that we're going to be doing here on the Outlaw Nation for the patrons, just for the patrons. And then tomorrow there's another hangout around maybe 7 or 6. And that's going to be on the Blue Jeans Network, so it'll be on camera. So we'll be able to hang out and talk about stuff on camera. So that's how the Outlaw Nation show is rolling. So come aboard the train. Come aboard the train. There are multiple tiers there, and those tiers are going to get cleaned up probably by me later on today. Thank you to Andrew Hale, who sent in some suggestions about how to adjust the tiers a little bit to make it more friendly for everybody else. Hey, I'm still learning this thing as I go along, so I appreciate you all's patience and help. Keith Hoffa, what's up? Good morning. How are you? Rick Samoris, what's up? Ronnie Padilla, hello. Christopher Yao, hello. Hugo Chavez, what's going on, my man? What do you got to say? Scott Welsh, what's up? What's up? Buenos dias. Yes, buenos dias. Mr. Eng, how are you? Matthew Hannon, hello. Ohap Cap, what's up? Coast, is that short for co-host? Did I say coast? Host. Let's see. Zeno Hour, what's up, man? Jordan Anderson, Outlaw, what's up, Jordan? Christopher Yao already said hi to Kevin Merton. What's up, Kevin? Good to see you. Andrew and Nikki, yo, what's up, Dimalantis? How are you? Good to see you. And Rohan Sharma, John. Hi, John from Panchkula, India. Well, thank you, Rohan. Appreciate you tuning in. That's my honor to have you, my man. All right, we got about a 60 of y'all in here. Would love it if you swing that cursor button over and hit like on this video. so we can start marching towards 100 likes before the end of the show. Maybe even get to 150 likes by the end of the show, depending on how many people join us this morning. It's a Wednesday. I know some of you are probably having a little bit of tough time getting out of bed or tough time doing things, but yeah, please swing that cursor button if you can, and hit the like on this thing. I'm at 31 likes so far. Would love to get above 50 likes as we start moving into the main part of the show, which will start in about a minute. I'm logging in right now to the Streamlabs just to make sure I don't miss anybody sending in questions or sending in comments that they want to have read on the air. But I do want to give a shout out to the people who signed up overnight. Alex Holland, Daniel Cesare, Katrina Steppett, Bob Raymond, and Fawad Lee all signed up for the Outlaw Nation show subscribe to the Outlaw Nation channel last night. Thank you so much. Marching ever closer to that 20,000 goal mark. Of course, we want to get to 15,000, and we're picking up people left and right. So clearly, it's great stuff. And thank you all so much for coming aboard. And I'll be I'll be doling out some new content starting next week, more produced stuff. So that's going to be interesting. And of course, the Star Wars show. I am intending to drop the Star Wars show tomorrow, the Jedi Way. Let me give a little shout out to that logo there from Brian Ward. The Jedi Way, absolutely tomorrow. I'll be dropping the first episode, having a little fun with that. So look for that. That's going to be the produced content that I do tomorrow. So a lot of fun there as well. All right, I think that we got two people who've already sent in some stuff. Andrew G donated. He said, "I'm loving all the Star Wars casting rumors coming out. None confirmed officially, but all makes sense. So I'm sure it's all true. Another note: I would love if they brought Sam Witwer on to a live action project to bring Star Killer to life and into canon." Absolutely. That is certainly something we're going to address in just a second, Andrew G. I echo your excitement about the situation. Sean Brennan sent in a Streamlabs, says, "Just join the Unforgiven tier." Thank you, Sean. Love you, Rocha. Happy to be a part of it. Talk more Chiefs. They are the champs. That's true. They are. We'll talk about them on Game Time for sure. That's my show every Monday with Jay Washington and Winston Marshall. We talk sports. So yeah, definitely. As this starts ramping up, we can definitely talk about Chiefs. But right now, there's not much to talk about, Sean, because they're not in camp. They're not doing much. So when they do, trust me, the Chiefs, as defending champions, will logically get a lot of coverage from us on the show. All right, let's get into the show. Let's start off with the first topic today, and that is the news about Bo-Katan and Katee Sackhoff. That's right. For those of you who may have been, kind of under a rock over the last few hours, Battlestar Galactica star and Star Wars veteran, they're calling her now, Katee Sackhoff. She is joining The Mandalorian Season 2. This is coming to us from Peter Shredder over there at /Film. He wrote an article, says he's exclusively learned that Sackhoff will be playing a live-action version of Bo-Katan, which is, of course, the Mandalorian warrior. She voiced on Filoni's Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. Now, Lucasfilm and Sackhoff's reps have not confirmed this. They've declined to comment on it. But Peter is going forward with the story and saying that multiple sources have confirmed it. They're also saying that she filmed her role back in February before the shutdown due to the coronavirus or COVID pandemic. They completed Mandalorian Season 2. They completed their principal photography in March. So the post-production is being done remotely at this point and still on track for new episodes to hit in October of 2020. For those of you who may need a history on this, Bo-Katan first appeared in Season 4 of the Star Wars animated series, Star Wars The Clone Wars. She's a Mandalorian warrior, a lieutenant in the radical splinter group Death Watch, second in command to the group's leader, Pre Vizsla. We know about her. Then Maul took possession of the dark saber, executed Vizsla, and took the throne of Mandalore. Bo-Katan refused to accept the outsider as her new leader, and then she was instrumental in recruiting the Jedi and the Republic to lay siege to Mandalore and oust Maul. And later in Star Wars Rebels, Sabine Wren passed the dark saber to Bo-Katan, believing she could unite the Mandalorian clans. So this is very, very interesting, and a lot of people are excited because we saw at the end of the first season of The Mandalorian how Moff Gideon has that dark saber. So a lot of people were asking, well, how did he get the possession of it? He talks about the siege of Mandalore. What's the history of that? What's Bo-Katan's place in that? What did she do? What was going on? Did she fight? Did she die? Did she whatever? There's a lot of questions here. So people are speculating already that she's not actually going to be a full-on season regular or member of this, how can I say this? Member in the current timeline, that she might be in flashback, that maybe Gideon killed her, took that dark saber, and that's where she's at. Or maybe she was, maybe she got out of there, escaped, and maybe she's on the hunt for the dark saber. Remember Giancarlo Esposito teased that there are going to be lightsaber battles. There are going to be stuff that they get into. There's going to be all kinds of interesting back and forth that are going to happen throughout The Mandalorian. And certainly having Katee Sackhoff on to reprise, and I would say reprise, Bo-Katan in a live action version is pretty great. I remember, she did the voice of Bo-Katan on both of those series, as I mentioned earlier. So kind of awesome to see her transfer over. One of those rare instances, let me tell you, someone who does voiceover and has many friends who've done voiceover, and of course hosted a couple of shows with my friend Yuri Lowenthal about voiceover, interviewing voiceover people, cast of characters, and Super Animation Game Time. They rarely cross over, if at all, to play their actual counterparts. I mean, Ashley Eckstein, she did not cross over to play Ahsoka Tano. So this is something that's really rare, but sometimes this is why you cast an actor like this, because they kind of convey the feeling of this character. The way she's designed, it's very close to Katee Sackhoff's face, and a lot of animators will do that. They'll watch the actress in the booth as they're or actor as they're performing the lines, because the animation usually comes after, and then they'll go from that, and they'll create that, and they'll use those facial expressions, they'll use those movements of the mouth, they'll use movements of the body to how can I say this, to decorate how they create the character in an animation format, and how that character moves and acts and speaks and reacts. All of that bleeds into the animation once they watch an actor perform those lines. And certainly Katee Sackhoff is a very accomplished actress. You talk about Battlestar Galactica, you talk about Longmire, many other projects. Of course, she's friends of the show for Smode Entertainment Network with Christian. So, it's great to see her being a part of this. It's great to see her kind of traveling. And she already, according to them, she already shot her stuff, So there's questions, as I said. How did Bo-Katan lose the darksaber? How did Moff Gideon get possession of it? They talked about the Purge of Mandalore, the Night of 1,000 Tears. All of that factors into this. And of course, there's a lot of Mandalorian history in the current Star Wars canon. Maybe she will appear to fill in those gaps that people have about it. Now, she was interviewed about this earlier in the year with the site discussing film. And she said, talked about her crossing over to play Bo-Katan in a live action format. She said, who wouldn't? There are people that are going to jump to conclusions that Bo is going to be in The Mandalorian because on paper, it does make sense. But, we'll just have to wait and see. Cross all my fingers and toes. You never know. So listen, let me tell you something about Hollywood. And let me tell you about the caginess of actors and producers and directors and creatives, executives, all of that. They're not allowed to say anything until they can officially say anything. So they will dance around the subject. They will dance around the idea. Look at Joaquin Phoenix, who played the Joker. He's like, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. Or like, oh yeah, I guess it might be fun, but no one's approached me. Those things, those little white lies you tell to kind of keep you in contention for the role, and also respect that these studios want to release their news items or make their big announcements on their timetable. So you got to honor that and respect that. Why wouldn't you? You're getting paid a pretty penny to play this character, to reprise this character. And like, as I said earlier, it's a rarity to cross over from behind the mic to in front of the camera and reprising a character. So that is incredible bit of news of Katee Sackhoff sliding into this situation. Like I said, she could be in flashbacks and she may have died in battle. A number of things that are speculating here, we shall see. Another thing that was interesting, and I want to throw this in because Slash Film kind of references it as well in their article. They said Dave Filoni loves tying up loose ends from his previous shows, bringing back characters to finish their journeys in new adventures. Well, we certainly saw that with Ahsoka Tano in this last final season of the Clone Wars. Certainly her coming back and finishing out her storyline there for the most part in the Clone Wars. There we wrapped up from where we left off, where she walked away from the Jedi Council. Now we see her kind of coming back, working with the Jedis and hearing the other side of things, what people feel about the Jedi on the ground level. So that was great to see with Ahsoka Tano. We know Sabine Wren left with Ahsoka Tano to go get Ezra Bridger. A lot of people are speculating that if there's an Ahsoka Tano series, it will focus on those years where her and Sabine go off. So maybe, just maybe, we'll also get a live action Sabine Wren. And we'll see if Katee Sackhoff will do the same thing that Katee Sackhoff did and cross over from behind the mic to in front of the camera. And Katee has been in films. I think she did a couple of years ago. Was the Internship? Is that the one with let me see, with Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson? I think it's called The Internship with Google. I think that's what it's called. But let's take a look. But she's certainly a knowledge, an accomplished actress who has had her own, kind of history with it. Let me see if I've got that right. The Internship. No. Oh yeah, maybe. Yes, I am right. 2013. Wow, that was 7 years ago. Are you kidding me? Wow, I didn't know it was 7 years ago. All right, well, time moves fast. Yeah, Katee Sackhoff, there she is. Yeah, she's done a number of things. She's just recently in The Fugitive. She's going to be in that TV series. She was in The Good Place as a recurring character. She's voiced over stuff in Young Justice. She's been in Supergirl. Let's see, Master of None for an episode. The Crazy Ones, Witches of East End, like I said, The Internship. So she's certainly got experience in front of the camera, is what I'm trying to say. And we'll see if she crosses over to be on camera to play Sabine Wren. But a lot of rumors speculating that she will be back for Sabine Wren and play her on camera. So we shall see. Either way, I like the idea. I think it's great to see them coming back together and putting the crew back together in essence and seeing the live action. Now my concern comes, and I want to hear what you guys think. And I appreciate you all, sending in your comments as we're talking about this. And I got almost 100 of y'all in here. Please swing that cursor button over, hit the like button. We got about 63 likes right now. I want to get closer to 100. Go and hit that like button for this show. Let me take a drink real quick. But my idea is this. It seems to be that we're getting all these characters coming into Mandalorian season 2. And I think the thing I enjoyed, and I think a lot of us, I think I can speak for most of us who watched the show, the one thing we really enjoyed of The Mandalorian was it not being cluttered with a bunch of characters from the past. Now, these characters are connected obviously to Anakin Skywalker and the Luke Skywalker story, obviously with Ahsoka Tano and then with Sabine Wren. Obviously Sabine Wren and, Ezra Bridger, all of that is from a separate time, right? In a separate situation. They're all connected leading up into A New Hope, but they're not necessarily connected that strongly to the Skywalker thing, other than the occasional altercation with Darth Vader. But you start adding more characters, it starts to get a bit cluttered. So my concern is, are we having too many people in the show? We shall see. Also down the road, how many more can we have in this show before it gets to be teetering into fan service, which is what a lot of people were upset about with Rise of Skywalker. No disrespect to anybody who liked the movie, but certainly there were a lot of people who felt that it was a little bit too much fan service. So the question now comes in, is this going to be a fan service situation with The Mandalorian? I don't know myself personally, but we shall see. I think we're going to find out if it's too much. But in Filoni we trust, in Favreau we trust, and certainly lining up a slate of great directors to be a part of season 2 of The Mandalorian. So this is exciting all around. I'm sure we'll wait to see. And nothing's been confirmed. Once again, nothing's been confirmed about Katee Sackhoff being in The Mandalorian season 2 as Bo-Katan. Nothing's been confirmed about Sabine Wren. Of course, we have Jango Fett coming in, or possibly Rex, or Commander Cody, or not Jango, sorry, Boba Fett coming in, or Commander Cody, or Rex. We don't know what Tamora Morrison's role is going to be fully yet. But a lot of people, of course, were speculating Boba Fett, but there's a number of directions it can go. If you listen to my Monday show, I threw out 2 possibilities for Boba Fett's return, and that could be interesting to examine and explore as well. So we shall see. We shall absolutely see what happens here. But I like the idea of
Katee Sackhoff coming back to do the role, being in front of the camera. She's still a kick-ass actress. So it'll be fun to see what she does with it. And she's been working out. If you haven't watched her Instagram videos or if you don't follow her on social media, she posts workout videos all the time, trying to help people work out at home, stay in shape, be healthy, what have you. So, definitely follow her there. So I'm sure there's a second meaning to all of that. Let's see here. Let's see. We got any comments? Let's see. Rosario Dawson is playing the Ahsoka Tano character, so we'll see what her role is as well. Will she be in flashback? Will she they could all be appearing for one episode, right? So maybe it's not a cluttered situation, or even if they're spread out over the episodes, if it's one episode here and then like 3 episodes, and then you get this other character, and 3 episodes, you get another character. So we'll see how they dole out the screen time for all of these people coming in playing these characters that we know and kind of grew up with a lot of people or kind of enjoyed getting into from the Star Wars side of things. We shall see how they go about doing that. So I'm looking forward to it. Let's see what we got here. Okay, I got another couple Streamlabs that came through as well. Please send in your Streamlabs, send in your super chats. Open to answer any questions, open to talk about any subject you want. Andrew G says, my prediction, we see the Purge and Moff Gideon acquire the Darksaber from Bo-Katan. If she doesn't die, we'll see her in the present time of the show or the rumored spinoff with Ahsoka and company. Yeah, that's possible. Look, I'm telling you right now, there's no way Star Wars, the people at Star Wars aren't thinking about an Ahsoka Tano, Sabine Wren, a Bo-Katan spin-off series. I know that they're supposed to go after Ezra Bridger, but Bo-Katan could be part of this. And so those 3 kind of spin off, and maybe this is what Filoni is doing by bringing them in live action. It's kind of giving people that idea of seeing them all together. And then when you spin them off, you've already introduced them as these characters and their chemistry. So people are excited to see what they can do with these 3 actresses. So I agree. I'm down for it. Andrew G says, let's say they do a live action spinoff sequel to Rebels. Who do you cast as Ezra? Good point. I always thought he looked like the animated Aladdin, so I'd lean towards an actor of Middle Eastern descent, I think. Maybe the dude that played Aladdin even. That's certainly possible. I don't think I'll be honest with you. I don't know if you need to cast Ezra Bridger right off the bat. Well, I mean, obviously you'll cast before you do the show, but I don't want Ezra Bridger to be like a huge part of the show. If it's about the 3 of them, let me see the 3 of them do stuff and have fun and get into adventures on the way to get to Ezra Bridger. And maybe we don't get Ezra Bridger till the last episode. So that leads us into season 2 of them all working together to bring everybody back into the fold. But then if you find Ezra Bridger, you got to start asking, okay, when do they come back? Do they come back after the Battle of Endor? So there's that gap in time between that and the new trilogy where they can do adventures or fight the Empire again, or those Empire cells that are out there. What's the situation? So yeah, I mean, I like the idea of them spinning off, but I don't need to have an Ezra Bridger be a huge part of that show, to be honest with you. He was a character that could get a little frustrating at times. And Sabine Wren was so much more capable than Ezra throughout the whole series of Rebels that it became a bit frustrating to watch over and over again. So I would say I'm happy with Sabine and Ahsoka and even Bo-Katan being thrown in there as well. Ezra can wait till the last episode of the first season. And then maybe they realize, yeah, we're good. And then they just move off and do their own thing. Ezra is on his own path, so we'll see. I mean, I like the idea of them kind of stating their own case and doing their own thing. Christopher Yao says, I hope it's the whole Rebels crew just sitting in a bar and have no plot point. Well, there you go. That's certainly possible. A lot of here. Next big rap star says, "What's up? What up? Afternoon to you from Cambridge, UK." Rocha, nice. Cambridge. Did you go to Cambridge? Hello, Cambridge. Thunder God Cairo says, fan service is fine when it makes sense within the context of the story, which all these characters appearing does. Season 1 already had multiple ties to Clone Wars and Rebels. Yes, I agree. But Sean Berto is another one. He says it's starting to feel a lot like fan service. Yeah, I hear you. But once again, I trust in Filoni. I trust in Favreau. So I think it'll be fine. Andrew and Nikki, they say, I really want to see Janina Gavankar as Iden Versio in live action. Yeah, I'm down with that. I could see that. That'd be actually a really good choice, to be honest with you. Demolantes, I'm down with it. Yeah, a lot of people said, Taya was great in The Good Place, so she could definitely do it with Sabine. Some Christopher Yao saying, what about Mila Kunis as Sabine? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I kind of think you should give it to Taya and see what she can do with it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. I love when Rogan does accents. Yeah, very funny. So we'll see. I mean, I'm curious to see how this all plays out, but I'm excited, and that's the number one thing you want fans to be, is excited to see what Filoni and Favreau are going to come up with here with Katee Sackhoff. And you get an accomplished, strong, determined actress like Katee Sackhoff. You really want to give her the right material for her to shine. So I'm excited to see what she can do. All right, guys, don't forget, Streamlabs are up. Send them Streamlabs in, as Andrew G is doing this morning, which I really, really appreciate. And give me some love. Sean Brennan as well, sending in some stuff. All the super chats are open as well, but super chats take 33%. So I don't get as much from the super chats as I would from the Streamlabs. So please send in what you can. Really appreciate it. Pram DeRoy says, "Hail Rocha, the Outlaw King." Oh, very kind of you, man. I appreciate it. There we go. Okay, anyway, let's move on to our next thing. I'm going to take a sip of water here, and I got to wrap this thing up in about 30 minutes, just letting you all know, so I can take a little bit of a break before I jump on to SEN Live. I also got a couple of interviews after SEN or during SEN that I got to handle as well. So hold on. All right. All right. Let's move on to our next thing, and that is, let's talk about it. Where is it? Boom, 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 boom. It's Mad Max Fury Road. The New York Times did a great oral history on Mad Max Fury Road, which a lot of people still put in their top 5 of best films of the millennium, of the 2000 to 2020, the first 2 decades. A lot of people put Mad Max Fury Road in their top 5. Some people have it in their top 2, top 1, top 3, but in their top 5 overall, a lot of people have Mad Max Fury Road there. The New York Times, and this is an article by Kyle Buchanan. I want to give some love to Kyle Buchanan there over at the NYT. He's published an oral history of Fury Road with a bunch. It's new stuff. It's a bunch of new stuff. I know we heard about the drama between Charlize and Tom Hardy, but there's a bunch of new stuff in this oral history. And look, oral histories are fantastic, right? Because we all love these films. We want to hear what went on behind the scenes. And this, they reveal that Uma Thurman was originally eyed for Imperatora Furiosa. And no surprise there, because Uma Thurman was so great in Kill Bill. She's been great in a lot of roles, a lot of films. You could totally see her driving a big old rig all the way down and then having to turn back around and head back into the lion's den, so to speak. Jeremy Renner apparently was considered for Mad Max. And why not? I mean, that just makes all the sense in the world. They were grooming Jeremy Renner for Jason Bourne. Didn't happen. They were grooming Jeremy Renner for taking over Ethan Hunt's role. That didn't happen, although he appeared in both of those franchises. So it wouldn't shock me that they were grooming him for Mad Max, but it didn't work out in the long run. So I want to read you some quotes here, because I love this movie. I think this movie is fantastic. I don't buy into Scott Mantz's review of it, saying it's a 2-hour car chase. Absolute lie. It is not. There's so much more going on between these characters, in my opinion. But they had some new quotes from Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron, which I thought were interesting. When you look at things as a retrospective, and you could revisit something years later, after there's been a lot of drama, a lot of butting heads, a lot of stuff going down that are emotional, and you start to understand, there's a lot of pressure on these actors. Yeah, they make millions of dollars and they live the high life and they jet around the world and they go to Cannes and they go to all these festivals, and people like me try to get interviews with them so you can sit down for a few minutes and try to have a conversation with them because you really enjoy their work or enjoy the film that they're in, or just enjoy them as a person. So there's a lot of pressure on actors when they take these roles, because remember, what you put on film, it's there for life, This is why Natalie Portman had such a breakdown after the prequels, because she was like, she hated what she did, and people were making fun of her as an actress. Like, that's tough to hit. That's a tough hit to take on the ego, certainly. So I like these quotes that came out from the article. I'm just going to read a couple or maybe 3 of them here. There was a lot of on-set feuding, a lot of on-set challenges. And I mean, the ending result was incredible, and you could argue it was worth it. But there were a lot of situations here with Hardy and Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron like slamming heads. Tom Hardy going after George Miller. A lot of stuff here. Charlize Theron says, in retrospect, I didn't have enough empathy to really truly understand what he must have felt like to step into Mel Gibson's shoes. And she's talking about Tom Hardy here. That is frightening. And I think because of my own fear, we were putting up walls to protect ourselves instead of saying to each other, this is scary for you and it's scary for me too. Let's be nice to each other. In a weird way, we were functioning like our characters. Everything was about survival. And this is a great quote and a very mature quote, a very introspective quote here to drop down, because she's saying, yeah, we should have had a bit more communication. We should have connected a bit more. We should have been human beings who were, in the boat together. And sometimes people forget that when you're in your process, there are other people involved who are around in your process. So it's good to include them so that everyone knows where everyone is at. Listen, I'm the kind of person, I don't believe in subtlety. I don't like it. I don't believe in it. I guess when you're flirting or whatever, or you're trying to seduce somebody, you can be subtle. It's cool. But I think in regular everyday life, I don't like to be subtle. I like you to know exactly where you stand. I like you to know exactly what I want. I like you to know exactly what I want to do, what I want you to do, so that there's no confusion. And I like to know from you exactly what you want, exactly what you want me to do, and exactly what you need from me. So there's no confusion. Subtlety leads to confusion. Subtlety leads to issues, or being closed off leads to battles or emotional issues, because you're too afraid to show what you consider a weakness, which is admitting that, hey, this thing scares me. I'm a little unsettled by it. Could use your help if I need some time. And every actor, most of the time, actors understand that this is a tough thing they're undertaking. And if you just connect with them, they'll have a conversation and connect with you about it. Most of them, not everyone, though. Charlize Theron said, she went on further to say the biggest thing that was driving the entire production was fear. Talking about her own frustrations, she said, I was incredibly scared because I'd never done anything like it. I think the hardest thing between me and George Miller being the director, is that he had the movie in his head and I was so desperate to understand it. So that's interesting too, right? That she was so caught up in wanting to understand what was going on set. She wanted to know the whole story, everything that was going on. She wanted to have all the information, all the knowledge, so that she could focus on what kind of character she was creating for the film. I would argue she did an incredible job anyway. But, some people would like to have all the information so they can craft their character. And some people, when they're operating from a place of fear, think that having all the information is going to settle their fears. But sometimes when you get all the information, it increases your fears. It does not settle your fears. So I think that's something to consider as well. But, Charlize Theron is a master actress, in my opinion. She's a master actress. I mean, you look at Monster to Atomic Blonde, to this, to numerous films in between and after and before. She's very good at what she does. And she has grown by leaps and bounds as an actor. As she's matured as a woman and become a mother, you see those layers creep into her work in powerful ways. Young Adult is another one. You should have no business liking her, but she has a little bit of just something really interesting about her, that even though she's a pretty terrible character in the film, it's an enjoyable film because of her. Tully is another one. Such vulnerability from her in that film as a mom dealing with the kids. So you got really a strong actress here taking on this role, but the fear can drive her to wanting to know more. Well, so I'm sorry if you guys hear the gardeners or the landscapers behind me. I apologize for that, but I got to do the show. So maybe I should close the windows, but I don't want to get up. Anyway, I like the idea that she's willing to talk about the fear. Man, maybe this affects other people in their lives. Hey, you're watching Charlize Theron, you think she's doing an incredible performance. Now you're taking a peek behind the curtain and seeing how much crap she had to endure within herself and on the set to achieve that performance. So maybe a little more respect and kindness and understanding can be doled out to Charlize Theron or actors overall when they talk about what they have to endure and take on and the high wire act they're essentially performing for you when they're doing stuff on film. Tom Hardy, though, also had some quotes. Let me take another sip here. Tom Hardy said as well, he said, I think in hindsight, this is a current quote, I think in hindsight, I was in over my head in many ways. Well, Tom Hardy, right? Tom Hardy, Tom Hardy exudes strength, exudes talent, exudes ability. And here he is admitting, and I think in hindsight, I was in over my head in many ways. The pressure on both of us, he means him and Charlize Theron, was overwhelming at times. What she needed was a better, perhaps more experienced partner in me. Once again, two people who are having this mature realization after doing some introspective work in themselves and having a little bit of time away from that situation, now saying to to the other person, essentially through these quotes, I should have been a better partner for you. I should have been more open. I should have been more understanding from both sides. And I love that. More experience. Tom admitting that, a little more time on the set. And remember, Tom is he's a younger actor. So he's definitely very talented. It doesn't mean necessarily that he's got all the tools already finely tuned. It takes time. It takes time being on set. Hours, Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 hours to be good at anything. It takes time being on set and doing all those hours to bring that out. He said, that's something that can't be faked, talking about the needing an experienced partner. I like to think that now that I'm older and uglier, I could rise to that occasion. And I think by uglier, he doesn't mean facially. I think uglier, he means those scars of the wars of being on these films, taking the hits, having flops, having successes, having people make fun of the accent you do in a Batman film. All of that factors into it because of how much detail we were having to process and how little control one had in each new situation and how fast the takes were. Tiny snippets of story moments were needed to make the final cut work. We moved fast, and it was at times overwhelming. One had to trust that the bigger picture was being held together, right? That's a reference to George Miller. It seems like if I'm reading between the lines, I could be completely wrong, but it seems like reading between the lines that both Charlize and Tom were only doled out certain amounts of information because George Miller had a certain way of working, a certain process of working on this thing. And remember, he directed the previous three, so I think he had every right to direct this as he saw fit. And maybe he thought it was better to only dole out certain kinds of information to both of them. And look, the end result, you can say kind of reinforces his method here and his madness. Rosie HuntingtonWhiteley, who's one of the wives of Immortan Joe in the film, she said that she saw Theron and Hardy clash on set, but he thought it was because they have completely different approaches to their craft. Zoe Kravitz, who was also on the set, of course, she's on that remake there of High Fidelity on Hulu right now. She said she observed both actors having moments of anger, but that it was Hardy who really took it out on George the most, and that was a bummer to see. But she also followed up and said, in some ways, you also can't blame him because a lot was being asked of these actors, and there were a lot of unanswered questions. So there you go. It seems very clear that George Miller was not telling people what he wanted to see because he felt directing it in a certain way, giving only certain information to certain actors was better for the overall vision, the overall result that he wanted to have in directing this movie. But clearly, it seems like a lot of people on the set were frustrated by this method, frustrated by this choice of George Miller. But once again, you can't argue with the result. So is it healthy? Probably not. Sounds like it wasn't. But, sometimes you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. And we'll see if people can recover from those broken eggs for sure. Miller himself, the last thing I want to touch on here is something that's in the article as well. Singer-songwriter Iota, who starred in the film as the Doof Warrior, you remember the Doof Warrior, who was the guy in the red long johns playing the guitar with fire, said he watched Miller, quote, deteriorate over 6 months of production, adding he looked so shattered by the end. And Margaret Sixel, who is the editor of the film and also George Miller's wife, told the New York Times that I was worried about George. You wouldn't even know the half of it, let me tell you. You should have seen him by the end of the shoot. He was so thin. So clearly this 6-month shoot took a lot out of everybody involved in it. I'm sure with George, it must have been very frustrating to have two very headstrong alpha actors on the set, pushing for answers, pushing for knowledge, pushing for knowing what the overall big picture of this thing was so they could be able to bring their best to the roles. So that's a lot to take on as a director. And of course, this is George Miller as an older director, right? I mean, how old is George Miller now? I think he's in his 70s for sure. Let me check here. Because I know he ain't a spring chicken, for God's sakes. Yeah, he's 75 years old. As we talk now, he's 75 years old, and Mad Max Fury Road was what, 5 years ago? 5 years ago. So he's 70. He's 70 on the set in the desert with these two headstrong actors doing his thing. And so that has to be factored in as well. How much did he endure? How much did he take? How much did he have to overcome to get the end result? So yeah, that's what you got to look at here. But this is the game. This is the game at this level. And I'm sure there was this pressure of coming back to a property so many years later, 2 decades later or 3 decades later, to do a fourth installment. What are you going to do with it? Of course, the pressure on Tom Hardy to fill in Mel Gibson's shoes. But I would argue that maybe that was something that was maybe not as powerful as if you were stepping in for another current character, that had been 30 years. Mel Gibson had done some terrible stuff, said some terrible things, and certainly had alienated himself from a number of the fans because of some of these comments that were offensive and racist and misogynistic and inappropriate. So I don't think fans necessarily held the Mad Max thing in as high of esteem as we've had in the past. So I think that's something to consider as well. So maybe there was this pressure, but maybe it shouldn't have been as strongly as it shouldn't have been felt as strongly as it sounds like Tom Hardy was feeling it, or Charlize Theron was feeling it as well in this film. But either way, I think I would encourage you all to read this article. It's a fantastic article, certainly on the heels of the Josh Trank article on Polygon. It's nice to see this article here in the New York Times kind of breaking everything down and talking about the oral history of what happened here. And of course, shout out to the New York Times again, because that Val Kilmer piece on Monday that I read was incredible as well. This is just as good. I love oral histories. The Ringer used to do oral history, or does occasional oral histories. I know Grantland, for those of you who remember Grantland, some of those oral histories were incredible. The Rounders one, the Boogie Nights one. There's so many great oral histories. I live for those, especially if they can get everybody back to talk about it, because it gives you such great insight into what happened during the production of a film or the making of a film or even a TV show. Those are great to read and enjoy. I think there was a Friends oral history as well, for those of you who are massive Friends fans. That is fun to read, that I read like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Really great oral history from almost all the cast, I think, and the producers and directors who were involved in making the show. That was fun to read. I'm not the biggest Friends fan necessarily. I do enjoy the show, but that oral history made me understand and enjoy the film even more. I don't know if any of you all have some enjoyable oral histories. Let me know. Don't be. Here we go. John, sorry, the New York Times. Let's just say the entertainment stories. Let's not just say that, because they're not. So don't start that shit here, son. Please give me a break. The New York Times is some of the most intelligent people on the planet writing stuff. Okay. Give me a break. I'll take somebody who's wrong 4 times out of 100 than somebody who's wrong 99 times out of 100. I'll rely on the 4 times out of 100 where they're wrong versus the 9 times out of 100 where they're wrong. Don't get me started on that. I hate how much people are trying to destroy these places we can go to get honest information, honest analysis. Just because you don't like the analysis doesn't mean it shouldn't exist. Okay, this is a free country, free media, free world. They can write their stuff. You're free to feel the way you feel, absolutely. And I'm free to come back at you and tell you that's stupid. I don't actually believe that at all. And I don't care if I'm alienating some of you all. It's just how I feel. The New York Times is a great place to go and get a lot of information. Newsweek, Time, so many great articles. I am not letting these organizations, these paragons of journalistic justice, get torn apart because people want to push their own nasty agendas in the world. Here we go. Tim Franco says, check out the Shudder documentary series, Cursed Films. It's very good. Ooh, I will absolutely do that. Cheers TV show was an amazing one. Yes, Reginald, I agree. Andrew G wants to know, the Discord Patreon hangout today. Yes, they will be today. I think we're doing it at 6 o'clock today on the Discord. So that'll be a lot of fun to hang out with you all at 6 o'clock later on today, 6 p.m. PT. Come and join me. For anybody who's $5 and above on my Patreon, come hang out for me for an hour. Come listen to us all talk for an hour. It's a lot of fun. There we go. And don't forget about the Streamlabs there. Coming in, sending in some Streamlabs. Do I see anything? Do I have anything? No, just stuff from Andrew G from the Rebel stuff. So no Streamlabs have come through yet, or no new ones have come through yet. And I haven't seen any super chats, so I hope I'm not missing anything from you all. No, I'm not. All right. But I got about 100 y'all in here. Would love to get over 100 likes before we wrap up the show here in the next 10 minutes. Please swing that cursor button over, hit that like button, give it some love. I would appreciate it. And yes, And there we go, patreon.com. That's right. There you go. Come get involved. Certainly with the Patreon right there. That's how you support. Go be a part. Go see all the tiers that we get in touch with. All right. I think that's everything that I wanted to hit on this. So I'm going to take another drink here before we jump to our last topic, and I'll wrap this thing up in about 12 minutes. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. All right. All right. Our next story is, to wrap up here, is a Russell Crowe story. Remember him? Russell Crowe has a new film coming out called Unhinged. Unhinged. It's from Solstice Studios. That's right, Solstice Studios. They dropped the trailer yesterday. They want to be the first to test the movie theater marketplace, and they're setting a July 1st release date for this film. They are an independent production / distribution company. They moved it from its September 4 release into the July 4th weekend because they think that's when the theaters and the studios are going to be releasing films again. It would absolutely be the first film to take advantage of, not having a lot of films in the theaters. And slowly but surely, places are opening up. I don't know if theaters are opening up necessarily, but certainly states are starting to slowly open up. Arizona this morning just announced their governor or their senator announced that they want to open things up. I think it was governor who announced they want to open things up in Arizona for live sports, but with no fans in the stands. They're saying they're open for live sports. So that's another one that's just opened recently. Solstice chairman, CEO Mark Gill said, when we greenlit this film, I probably figured that July 4th weekend and Christmas would be the two least likely slots. But we were sitting on September 4th, and then COVID-19 happened, and A Quiet Place 2 moved out of its original slot and then landed us into this, given us this opportunity, and we landed our date. When you are in a speedboat and a giant ship is coming at you, you better move out of the way. We looked at the rest of the year, fall, winter, and spring 2021. The release schedule was already crowded, and when you add all the films that have been delayed, it made it think that maybe we should go sooner. And certainly they've done that. July 4th is usually, like they were saying here, the domain of the big movies. And he said the first call was to John Fithian at NATO, whose organization is in touch with state public service departments, and NATO, not the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, but NATO, the National Association of Theater Owners. And if they had said you can't open theaters, we would have said, forget it. We don't want to do anything that isn't safe and expert guided. Turns out the exhibition crowd was looking for a movie just like this one. They did their own private poll amongst moviegoers, 1,000 moviegoers, and got some really good results for them, which is why they're doing it. He went on further to say, we thought maybe 40% would say they were eager to return to the theaters, but we were surprised to see the number at 80%. And he said this is a relatively modest budget movie at $33 million. Have you seen the trailer? $33 million for that movie? Oh, so if we earn $30 million at the box office, we will be fine. If you made a $200 million movie, that would not be acceptable. So, and of course, there's this idea that Tenet and Mulan, it still hasn't 100% been confirmed. But then again, yesterday, the health expert here in California said that they anticipate that it'll drag on for another 3 months. This ban that ends this week, it'll be extended for another 3 months. But Eric Garcetti went on CNN, who's of course what he said. He said that he thinks that it is actually going to be not full on lockdown, that there will be a little more openness to the lockdown than we've had before. So how is that going to affect people? Are theaters going to open or not? Or will they be very, very limited if they're going to be open? So they're taking a chance here to drop this film on July 1st. We'll see if people come out and see it. It's an interesting film. If you haven't watched the trailer yet, it's a kind of nutty film. It's basically this guy, and it's Russell Crowe playing this character, who's quote unquote having a really bad day. And he has a road rage incident with this young mother and her child. And he's at a green light. He doesn't go. She honks the horn. He doesn't go still. And then she just tears ass around him and goes, well, apparently, and says something to him as she's driving by. Apparently this pisses him off. He goes after her. Clearly he's dealing, because he keeps messing with his wedding ring. Clearly he's dealing with either an ex-wife or a wife who's cheated on him. But now he pulls up to her in the trailer after she's sped by him, and starts talking to her kid, who has the window down, and tries to get an apology from the woman. She won't apologize. She's upset about it. And it escalates from there. And it gets pretty crazy. A lot of stunts, a lot of action scenes, certainly a lot of car chases and car explosions. We have a semi running through a police car in the trailer. So it seems like a pretty crazy trailer, but it also seems like a film that's a little bit below Russell Crowe. I'm going to be honest with you. It felt like a pretty terrible trailer, to be honest with you. I mean, it's not interesting at all. I love Russell to pieces as an actor, but playing a character like this, like why? Maybe you're making some money on the side from it. Maybe you got bills to pay or a mortgage or whatever, but it looks terrible. And yeah, $33 million movie. That means Russell got paid. I'm sure he made quite a pretty penny off this movie. It's a $33 million movie, but it's not a trailer that jumps out at me. But the reason I put it on the news or this on the Mornings with the Outlaw is because this could be the film that kind of opens the doors to other films coming back. People were thinking Tenet on July 18th or Mulan on July 17th and Mulan July 24th. People were thinking that those were going to be the two movies to open theaters. But it's a smart move by Solstice to try and engage what the interest is for people to come back and see the movie, see a movie like this. And look, people are so starved to go back to the theater that they'll go see anything, even if it's a terrible, medium budget film that looks like you've seen this movie a million times before, like Breakdown or Cellular or any number of those films you've seen before where, something goes wrong. Or was it Changing Lanes? That was the other one with Sam Jackson and Ben Affleck. We've seen this kind of movie before. It even had shades of The Stepfather in it with some of it when you watch the trailer. So we've seen this kind of movie before. Is it the right movie to open the theaters with? This idea of a man stalking a woman? I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of it. And judging from the trailer, it does not look like a damn good movie. But who knows? We might get surprised. It might be damn good. It might be interesting. It might have some twists and turns that we don't anticipate on a cliched plot line that we've seen in numerous films. There might be a new and interesting take on it. So, I'll reserve full judgment until I see the movie there. But still, I like the idea that they're taking the chance to put this movie out on July 1st, see what the reaction is. And that may signal to the studios, okay, if a medium budget film can get this kind of reaction, think about what we're going to get with a larger budget film, because they're still debating right now, according to a number of the reports, whether they're going to release Tenet on the time. Christopher Nolan wants to release it on time. But we're not sure if the studio wants to do it. They're still debating it, and they may announce within the next week or later on this week that they are pushing the release on that one. And if they push the release of that one, how quickly will Disney follow to push the release of Mulan? We shall see. So a lot of things up in the air. And shout out to Russell Crowe, who I love as an actor, but this material feels a little bit beneath my man, to be honest with you, but we shall see. Yeah, Falling Down is another one. I like Falling Down up until near the end, but I like the film overall as a commentary on our angry society. I think it's brilliant in that way. All right, want to check the last, see if any new Streamlabs? No new Streamlabs, no new Super Chats. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Thank you all so much for joining me here on the Outlaw Nation. Please remember to subscribe to the Outlaw Nation right there below. Hit that subscribe button. Give it some love. Get us above 15,000, marching towards 20,000. Come and be a part of the nation. Join the nation, raw, authentic, and unfiltered. Come join the nation. That's what we do here. And of course, join the Patreon right there, patreon.com/John Rocha. Come and join me today. $5 and above gets access to the Discord. Today does, Discord's access. I think you get $5 above anyway, but you get to hang out with me for like an hour. We talk about all kinds of things, hot takes. And let me tell you, this is a crazy little crew we've got of the patrons of the Outlaw Nation. So it's a fun hangout, certainly. And you never know where it's going to go. You never know what we're going to talk about. But that's going to be a lot of fun as well. And then tomorrow for the $7 and above, you get to have the on-camera hangout on the Blue Jeans app. So that's there. And of course, we're hammering out these shows that are going to be very interesting. Criterion Corner. So every episode of that show is revisiting or looking at a Criterion release for you that might draw your interest to go and explore. We've got the OK Corral, which is the debate show that's going to be happening on the Outlaw Nation or on the Outlaw Nation Patreon, where I pick a topic and then two people volunteer to be a part of it, and they don't know which side they're going to argue, and we put them in the OK Corral to see who wins that shootout. We got another one called the Outlaw Explains, and it'll be talking about something going on in the world of film or something going on in the history of film, a technique, an approach, a style, a director, a movie, a plot decision within a movie, stuff like that. And then we've got a fourth mystery show that we're kicking around as well. So all that's going to be hammered out real soon, and it'll be announced to the Patreon. So come and be a part of the Outlaw Nation Patreon and support us and support what we're doing here and what we're building here. I would very much appreciate it. All right, please feel free to follow me at The Rocha Says as well. Trying to get that Twitter above 20,000. Trying to get the Twitter above 35,000. I keep messing that up. Or the Instagram above 20,000. So come and be a part of that as well. Really, really appreciate it. And give some love to everybody. Go and listen to the Jeff Snyder or watch the Jeff Snyder interview for the Outlaw Nation show. Go leave some nice comments there, and also follow Jeff and everything he's doing. And don't forget to join me at 10 a.m. this morning for SCN Live, 10 a.m. this morning for SCN Live. Going to be hosting this crazy thing and doing the best I can, then jumping off for like half an hour and then coming back on to end the show. All right. Much love to all you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I love you all, and I'll see you. And thanks to Jake Giacobetta for moderating, and thanks to Jake Giacobetta for the thumbnail yet again. That's my man. And we will talk to you Friday for another brand new episode of the Outlaw Nation show. Oh, one last thing. Later on today, live episode of Strong Style, I think around 3 o'clock. It's going to be me and Aaron Turner breaking down the John Cena versus CM Punk match from Money in the Bank, I think 2011. So we're going to break down that, and then we're going to talk about the latest Dark Side of the Ring. We're going to review that UFW one, which is really interesting, and talk about that as well. So and the story of Becky Lynch, being pregnant and leaving the WWE. So it's a live episode. Come join us. You get to come in, talk to us, come in, ask your questions, all of that. 3 p.m. live today, PT, Strong Style, me and Aaron Turner. All right, that's it. That's all the plugging I'm going to do right now. Love to all of you, and we'll talk to you next time on another brand new episode of Mornings with the Outlaw.